All right, one of the harder parts on any boat is getting down to the stuffing box. And I don't even know how the heck I'm going to reach this one, but we're going to try to do it yet. Mama! Oh. All right. Well, it's been lubricated. I don't know how I'm going to reach that with the actual wrenches. And I don't want I don't want what, baby? Help? Yeah, you're little. You can go back there and do it. Okay. Yeah, I know, but it's causing me anxiety too.
Here, take a view of
it.
Oh, what'd you just do?
I don't want to hit this thing. That's the fire suppressant system. What I need to get to is this. And to undo those bolts, I know for a fact that the stuffing box leaks really good. I don't know what size it is, so I'm gonna take the old one off and then take out the stuffing and then take it to the store and buy new ones. But there's just a lot of stuff in the way, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna attack this yet. So I wasn't able to get it recorded, but I did end up getting the stuffing box all done. It was the biggest pain in the butt. I could not reach it even remotely. I had to cut out like the lee board on the starboard side quarter berth. And after I cut that out, I was able to finally reach the stuffing box. And then, as you can see in this picture here, like, it had been pretty corroded. It was completely seized. And I wrestled it. I ended up having to torch it, you know, with the MAP gas torch until it finally broke free a little bit. And then I was able to get it open and brush off the threads and lubricate it and pick out the old stuffing. Yeah, it took a while. It was one of the more stressful things, but it did get done, so I just don't have a video of it. This is just a little showing of what the wiring used to look like, so in the next part of the video you can see how it looks now. Alright, I haven't taken many videos this weekend because I've been kind of going balls to the wall. Spent the whole weekend out here, but what I got done was a lot of the wiring. So as you can see, this looks a lot different than it did before. I ran every top part is to a switch up here. And then of course the grounds and then the bottom parts. And so far, I put the batteries back in, turn our power on, and we've got depth sounder, now works. The masthead lights, the back light works, the front ones need work, and of course the mast lights aren't gonna work, but how they work is this hole right here will allow wires to run up into the mast, and that will give me my tricolor and my masthead. My searchlight works. That's this bad boy right here. My radio now works. The tricolor's wired in, but of course it's not there. If you look inside here, it looks, I mean, it kind of still looks the same, I guess, but it makes sense to me now. So that's all hooked up. I also did a little bit more on the plumbing. I fixed the float switch on the bilge. The reason it did not work was because the wire became disconnected. So now that works, and the bilge as a whole works. I rewired, I replumbed the bilge, so there's a new bilge hose coming up here. I did some organization. I'm gonna have to move the fuel filter, so that's removed. That's the diesel from the fuel line in a little bucket there. I'm gonna reinstall my water strainer. Now I made some modifications. I put in a new elbow. This one was not barbed before. And here this extra ball valve is because when I run my saltwater faucet, this is where I'm going to connect it to. So we'll have a freshwater faucet and a saltwater faucet. And then the saltwater faucet will come from here. It will have a shut off. And then down here, I put in a new ball valve here, which will give us our saltwater intake. I also messed with the bonding system, so I put new tinned caps on these. I took 2 of them out that were bad, and I haven't rerun them yet, so I have 2 more to go on this. I put this new one in to bond to that through hull. Yeah, a lot got done. It is a mess now because of how much work this all was, and you know what happens with progress. But that wiring, I mean, even if it's not all that much more organized than the old one, you could say it's more organized to me because I did it. I also threw in some labels, so I'll know what those go to, and I'll know if things break. Side note on that, I had to buy 2 new tools today, which I recommend. A nice pair of crimpers that I got from Home Depot, and a much more aggressive pair of wire strippers. Without these 2 things, the electrical jobs would have been all but impossible. So yeah, made good progress. Another little one, I took out this, it was right there, battery charge gauge. It would actually be very useful to have, but I don't think this thing has any chance of running. It wasn't working and the connections were fine, so. But these are cheap, so I'm gonna replace this with another one from Amazon. Upon second look, I can tell you why it will not run. The needle is broken. So even if it works, it's not gonna tell you what it's reading. So, into the tray. Today I'm working on some plumbing. And to do the plumbing, I gotta get this hose right here to fit around the fittings for the freshwater system. And this hose is way too rigid. So the technique to get this to slide in is you boil some water. And with that boiled water, you dip the ends in it and it opens it up. So luckily, not long ago, I fixed up this stove. I'm going to show you how to use it, hopefully without flaring up. So, this is an old alcohol stove. I already gave it air pressure. So you open it up. You can hear it. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds. Take the lighter. Oh. Let's give it another second. 1, 2, 3. Try again. Hold on one more time. All right, now it's probably gonna flare up on me. Oh, there it is. Not a bad flare. So, the alcohol, you release the primer, it catches it in a little pan, and you have to let it get hot enough so that when you release the next time, the alcohol's been turned to gas. If you do it wrong and you release too much liquid at once, or you put too much out when you prime it, it will flare up a pretty big flame. And you want to let it burn longer than you think. These were common on, they're not common anymore because people like propane, but they were common on boats in the 70s because alcohol can be put out with water, and because it's not pressurized, so if it leaks, it doesn't stick around and sink to the bilge. Like I said, you want to let this go for a solid minute before I turn this on. As you can see, I'm out here on a rainy day. We got leaks, leaky tiki, and it will continue to leak until I go around and rebed all those things and fit them. All right, let's see if we got enough. There we go. Now we're on. And the beauty I find of these is that the See, flame's getting a little big. I released too much liquid. Way too much. Holy moly. I just used this morning and it worked better than this, but yep, I opened it up too quick. You can see all the alcohol burning off the pan and it will just keep burning until almost just looks like it's leaking. Well, regardless, I need hot water, so we're gonna heat this up. All right, so I've got the salt water pump partly installed. So here's how it works. This is the faucet. This is the foot pump. This hose would be going to the salt water intake for the engine. When you press the foot pump, it pumps water through the system. Little splurts. Bam. And as we can also see, the fresh water works as well. So, plumbing getting all right. Now the sink's fully installed. So like I said, there'll be foot pump for salt water. And fresh water is right here. And it all drains out to sea. So we have a working sink. And I'm gonna keep pumping through lots of fresh water. I'll probably pump the whole tanks dry again so that you can be certain that this is good potable water. And then on the first day on the sea, we'll fill it up and we'll have 60 gallons of nice fresh water. And fresh water. Let's see how it looks. Looks fresh to me. Just kidding. Full of particulate. So when people ask, why don't my electronics work? Take a look at this. Right? Look at this fitting. If it will focus, you can see how green and corroded it is. And if you bend it for a minute, let's see if I can. You'll see that it just bends, you know, and just falls apart. So off camera, I managed to get the engine all the way back together. Everything from all the fuel lines, coolant lines, impeller. Actually nothing too crazy. But when I was doing that, one of the things I did do was I broke off a bolt in this little bracket. This is for the water pump, the raw water pump. And just a funny little story here is I, of course, break this off. I take it off, and I'm at the shipyard, so I don't have all my tools. They're back at my house, which is a little far away. So I think, oh, you know, I wonder if they'll help me out if I just, you know, how hard is it to tap in a new bolt, you know, take 1 minute. So I walk over to the machine shop, because this is on a weekday, or rather the service shop, and ask them, hey, is there like a chance you guys could, you know, just tap out a quick bolt for me? And of course I'm promptly told, oh, of course we could tap out a bolt for you, but, you know, it's billable. I'm like, all right, well, billable's not bad. It's going to take 1 minute. And they go, oh, no, 1 hour minimum, $2.50 an hour. So, of course, with a smirk and a nod, I said, I get it. And I left and, you know, spent an hour driving to Harbor Freight and buying another tap set and bringing it back to the boat. But other than that, no real issues. Got the engine back together. On the flip side of that story, I had to get a new hinge plate for my boat because it didn't have a hinge plate because it's pre 1972, and I did that up at a mom and pop, shipyard where the place where I'm getting my mooring, for a little further east in Maine. And they helped me for over an hour stamp out some new hinge plates onto scrap metal and didn't charge me a penny. So there's still nice places out there. But yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff happened off camera. I've been doing more than the videos have been showing. So the boat will get on the water. At this point in time, I think all I need to do, I still need to glass in some transom holes. I need to do bottom paint. There's some stuff I want to do on the engine and just to make it a little more reliable. And then that should be it for this summer. Everything else, there'll be tons of improvements before the boat goes a considerable distance, but just to get on the water, we're almost there. So, see you.
I didn't take a video before we started, but we're painting the inside of these storage areas. This one's behind the stove, and that one's behind the sink. This is what they look like. You wouldn't want to store your food in there, would you? Nope, not me. He'd probably be fine with it. But I prefer a clean slate.